Good evening, everyone. Hope you all are safe and well. We are BMS IT Alumni Association in association with WOW is here again with one more amazing webinar. Let me introduce to today's speaker, Mr. Karan Bandari. Karan Bandari is a graduate of BE Computer Science and Engineering from BMS Institute of Technology and Management in the year 2010. He completed his MS in Computer Engineering from California State University, Long Beach in the year 2012. He started off as a tech analyst and grew to be the technical lead and Node.js automation engineer in Infosys. He then joined Society General Global Solution Center as the technical lead and has been working there since 3 years. In this session, you all will be learning how to build your online presence in the current job market 2020 so that you all can stand aside from other applicants. Hope you all enjoy this session and take a great knowledge from this webinar. I just give the session over to Karan Bandari. Sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you for the introduction. I'm Karan here, and I will present my screen. Let me know once you're able to see it. Visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, so welcome everyone. In this session, I will be taking you and leading you past how to augment your online presence and be engulfed by the job market in 2020. The reason why it's important is because the times have changed and the way you approach um, the market now is different compared to what was there earlier. I have seen someone who has just graduated from college also getting as much salary as I do a few years ago. And also all my applications after I think um, the year 2015 has been not by me applying to them, but they applying to me. I'll also give you some tips and tricks that I had used to turn the tables where, you know, the director calls you the actor, but the actor should not struggle and go to Mumbai. Um, so all of you could witness the slides by going. So I have deployed this here. I'll also show you how to go about making a presentation like this. So, and I'll put this in the chat session. Will the chat session be visible to everyone? Or you want me to put it in the Q&A section? Okay, I'll share this with you at the end of the meeting, but if you can note it down, it's augment your online presence, or all with dashes, no space, .azurewebsites.net. You can either put HTTP or HTTPS. So what I will be doing is I'll be going past all the tips. I'm going to broadly categorize as physical assets, your projects. How do you enhance your profile? How do you participate? And maybe a way on how to get yourself educated for this. So physically, I believe you must have a business card ready. You can use Vista Prints, or you can go to any Printo or Photo Express Studio, and they will be having numerous templates with you. And in your business card, make sure that your GitHub profile, your video resume is visible, in the sense the link to it. And just on the back side of it, try to include a few languages that you are well versed with. Have a threefold brochure. I'll show you how a threefold brochure also looks like. Threefold is something where you put 4 or 5 of your major projects, and you imprint that onto a threefold brochure. I could share templates with you after the meeting is over, so that you can just replace the placeholders and put your projects there. Have an image, have file line description, and introduce 6 or 7 of your projects in the brochure, and of course resume, which is given for granted. Now, when you go for the interview, I expect you to also have the project videos of whatever you have accomplished in your smartphone, or if possible in a tablet. You must have a GitHub account where you, like, even this presentation I made was on was on GitHub. So you must be, you can also do your photo sharing on GitHub. You can also make your own personal goals on GitHub. When you open source your personal goals and when you close an issue one by one, then you know you are accountable to the public about your timelines, about your goals. So suppose if you want to become a full stack developer, that is UI plus .NET or Java, then you have to put that across. Okay, first I want to ramp up on JavaScript or jQuery and then React. Or maybe if you want to become a machine learning engineer, then how do you go about doing it? I will start with Python, then TensorFlow, uh, and then you should utilize your cloud for hosting it. I will give you tips on how to use the cloud for free. I mean, some of you can, if you misuse the cloud, you can get a hefty bill of even 40,000 for the month. But I'll show you on how to go about creating, applications. So this is hosted for free. Yes, Manasa, you have any question? Okay, you could type it in the Q&A section so that others could hear it if you are unable to talk. Um, and then I'll show you on how to create. Yeah, I think those who are raising your hands, you could type your questions. I don't know if there is a facility to unmute you. So I'll be showing you on how to create a profile on Behance, which is like a video resume that you do, and it will get a public domain of its own. And where, as and when you finish a homework, an assignment, a practical, or a project, it will be visible in Behance or ArtStation. And LinkedIn also has a very good project management area. Uh, Webinars. In one of the webinars, there's something interesting happened like I found that many people who had attended the webinar were actually from the commerce side, and it was a technical webinar. So instead of me asking questions, okay, I did ask a few questions, but I answered most of the question in someone else's webinar, and it was arranged by Google. So, the some tips and tricks can make you notice, can get you noticed in groups like these. I feel you must join, a community. So today, there are online communities because of the current pandemic, but then they also have physical meetups once before the situation, and I think after the vaccine has been introduced, these meetups will also be a forum where they want to, and these are free because Microsoft wants to promote its Windows 10. um, uh, uh, Google wants more Android developers to make applications, and IBM wants to promote their quantum computing. So they, each of them have the hidden agenda. So they want to get a set of developers on board to present all these new product launches. A new .NET framework launch, a meetup is launched. New iOS version launch, a meetup is launched. And one person, I remember those people who enter into a company through Hacker Earth and Kaggle, they are paid at least or twice or thrice of what an average person is paid. Because here the companies apply to you rather than you applying to the company, because you have finished a couple of projects on either Kaggle or Hacker Earth. Hacker Earth is straightforward data structure algorithm platform where you just enter into code challenges, but Kaggle is a platform where platforms like Netflix or Amazon will put their data set and they'll say, can you make sense out of it? And you can use some open source cloud platforms like SageMaker or drag and drop ML studios to solve the initial part, and then you can enhance it by doing more and more research. So I think before every interview, you must go through Geeks for Geeks and brush up on all the concepts of whatever field you're interviewing for in tutorial point. Um, See, I'll talk about one of the meetups I had attended. Here, the kind of questions that I had asked in one Ernst and Young meeting, the speaker was an important person. He was like a product owner of the entire cloud ecosystem in Ernst and Young, and he offered me a job on the spot in a physical meetup. It was Ernst and Young Technology Experience. So, this is the power where I'm not asking you to do some cold apply now on different job portals. Yeah, of course, BMSIT has a placement cell, and they have good contacts where you get to meet all of them in person. But I think in these forums gives you that extra edge to go about, advertising yourself. One book that I highly recommend is, What's the Color of Your Parachute? They talk about how to, not be lost. Because if I show you my inbox, I have more than 14,100 emails. So if you just apply in most, if I don't know your name, I may consider it to be spam. um, so so now this talks about how do you enhance your Google position, how do you clean up your so I'll just show the summary. It talks about how do you build a good bio on LinkedIn, and how do you be visible on Google, so that when you type your name should come up. Because when a person is coming into the office, or maybe I'm getting married to someone, the first thing I'll do is Google the other person. uh, so so you better be there whenever. And if I have some doubt on your social profile, I think all of you must cleanse your social accounts, like, in the sense, untag yourself from beer pong parties, or ensure that you don't appear in a posting that is anti-national, or very polarized views. I think you should only talk about, okay, projects, achievements. And if you want, in Facebook, utilize the privacy policy where only uh, selected members view some things which are very general in nature, like Diwali celebration or something. But in your public feed, you must be like appearing as if you have been to conferences, done technical work, you're involving in a project, help GitHub, help something on help some organization or doing a project work. So that social account cleansing is definitely necessary. And we need to change the wording on a CV and letters. Here, you better be careful, because I remember once I was offered a job in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and there, the first thing they told me that they will modify my profile to show enhanced skills and enhanced experience. I I rejected that job because in the current world you cannot lie. Today I was since I'm working for a bank, they will do a thorough background check. They will, if they find something suspicious, there are companies like First Advantage. There are companies who will actually go to your house if they feel your address is not authorized, or if it's not something which is tangible. So you better not lie on what you have done. If you want, advertise small, but write it correctly, truly, and never lie. Like, even don't negotiate on things like, okay, the joining date and things like that, because uh, if you lie, in most, you have to cook up many stories with many organizations to cover up that lie. So yeah, just be aware of, when I say changing the wording, is just so that you suit it to have more powerful words. Like, there are some people who write a lot of passive words, instead write active words. Passive words implying that you're talking as a third person, but in active words you're talking about, okay, revenue increased, or performance improvement introduced through some of the contributions I've done. So, right? Situation, task, action, result, like star, situation, task, action, result, star format. Like, all your uh, credentials should be, and then your network of people. Of course, many people would think of LinkedIn as the first. But then beyond that, I think you should also have a physical repertoire of people, the people whom you frequently go for seminars, the people whom you're going for classes, or maybe if you're attending webinars like this, you will find a person who has done some Q&A. Maybe you'll find that skills to be similar, and then your in-person's meeting if you have ever met any. And then even you could when you work on a project on GitHub, you will actually find out that there will be 10 other people or 15 other people who will collaborate with you on some of the popular projects, so they can become your network of people. And maybe if you have really solved someone's problem on Stack Overflow, he will remember you. So one more thing is, today I have done a mistake. In my life, I don't have domain knowledge. I just have software, hardware, and the technical knowledge. So what I would recommend anyone to do is, you major in computer science, but you must have a minor. Minor could be finance or gym. I mean, different people have different joys, like, something that brings them some excitement and enthusiasm. Like maybe in bakery also, like if you want to achieve technical prowess in, you should apply your technical skills somewhere. And that somewhere is something that you must learn. Like, for example, I'm in a finance industry. My finance knowledge is average. I would have been a better engineer if I would have, enhanced my financial knowledge. So maybe I would have taken some, at least a 10-hour course on Udemy. That would have been enough. So I know where to apply my knowledge. So, and then some people are, you know, they are brought up in a particular type of environment. Like the father is in a retail shop, their mother is working in some tailor industry, or going working in a textile, or someone is working in GE as a medical engineer. So as you're born in a specific locality or surrounding, you'll have that somewhere ingrained inside you. So try to develop. Now all of you are in technical, you may see, computer software engineering is something which everyone must learn, because if you are doing repetitive work, tomorrow you will be fired. And if you do something, share it in LinkedIn, and join a group or two, and answer a few questions on LinkedIn, and share a few interesting articles, and research the company. So before you enter the interview question, like, make sure you go through the press releases. There is, if BMSIT can arrange for Harvard Business Review or Factiva, I think these are paid databases, but if they can get it for you, you can get a quick or maybe even visit the company in MSN Money or Yahoo Finance, and take a look at how their company is doing and what products they are in, what are the news associated with it, and find out what is said about them. Take a look at one or two research papers published by the company before you go for the interview, and look up the, even if you're about to visit a seminar, research the speaker. I think it's easier to start with conversations. And if suppose in the Q&A section, you want to bring up a competitor's feature, which could be incorporated, or maybe even you could offer your help to, incorporate a feature or two. Are you with me? Okay. So I had given one seminar in BMS
Yes.
to BMSIT um, on Be the Lion of the Tech Food Chain. You can listen to this podcast and also visit the slides on this. Now, I want you to develop a habit of listening to some technical material, or maybe general purpose material. Like for example, brand creators is light on the mind. It's not very technical heavy, but it'll help you to rebrand yourself and market yourself. And whatever good work you have done, it will even you can help, it will help you to make some pocket money out of the work you're doing. And you should be up to date with what AWS, Azure, what are they up to. And these are some of, so OC Devel is for those people who are doing machine learning. And I think this is an excellent podcast because this summarizes all the concepts of machine learning into chunkable audio formats. So I feel download Podcast Addict or iTunes or Player FM and have some of these offline. And whenever you are exercising, commuting, going to the gym, going somewhere, maybe you are there in a particular setting. Someone raised a hand. You could put your question in the Q&A. Um, and you will enhance your knowledge in a time that you never knew it existed, because you are now putting in technical pieces of information into you, even in places that even in timings that you may not have anticipated, with the help of podcast. It is not like YouTube, but it is just audio. And I think it's good if you incorporate that habit. And I have also this first one is from my own podcast. I'm also running my own radio station. So these are some of the meetups that I have collaborated. Millennium Mams is not a technical forum, but there Nitin Gadkari came. Someone from Google was there. Someone from AWS was there. Indra Nui, PepsiCo chairman was there. Paytm CEO. Like, these people come and attend these. They give either in person or and during the pandemic Zoom sessions. I join. I mean, it's only for the ladies, but I think there's a lot of emphasis on women in engineering. And Rotary and Toastmasters are those non-technical clubs where I think Toastmasters is quite necessary, because today I've seen your technical knowledge can get you somewhere in the food chain in the middle, but it is the communication, your leadership skills, and the way you present yourself will take you to the top. Because today in software, performance is actually being measured by some one-on-one performance meeting with you and the manager. So if you're not able to communicate the good work you've done, I think it'll be useless. So Toastmasters gives you that opportunity to interact, network, as well as develop your leadership and communication skills. And Rotary Midtown is one place which attracts a lot of rich people, because they are donating. They are, so you, if you are not wealthy enough, you can donate your time. Like for example, you can donate some volunteering work to organize one marathon, or maybe for some fundraising event, or even they organize pulse polio booths. You can just do some volunteer work. And major donors, Prestige CEO, Brigade CEO, like those kind of donors actually come there. And you can bypass the entire hierarchy of the management and go and meet the top people. I think Rotary is good with that. And then Medi Council is something like today, as a software engineer, you want to help making solutions to help this COVID. Like today, some of your parents will be saying like, why are you behaving so helpless and useless? You're an engineer, you're supposed to help the world come out of the COVID situation. So I have also released one podcast on what are the various things one can do to help combat the problems around the COVID pandemic. How can you as a software engineer contribute? And I've talked about some open source data sets, some IoT, some sensors, and certain things like AWS medical transcribe, and software solutions that we need to help combat. So Medi Council is a collection of very talented doctors that attend this and talk about things like how to control BP, diabetes, fixing yourself while you're at home, because you're not allowed to go to hospitals. Like today, most of the dentists are not operating. So they have forums and presentations and a council to help these. And of course, this is what okay, the cloud, Google, AWS, IBM. These are some things you click, join this group, and yeah, once you join these groups, you'll be able to see what are the upcoming meetings. I think after this meeting at 7 p.m. you must go and attend this one. How do you use convoluted neural networks for image processing? So after this meeting, go and join this. Okay, so just start implementing whatever I've told you from the next minute. 7 p.m. is the meeting, so you can go ahead and join and subscribe to that. Um, and yeah, of course, this is one more place where you can find work. But yeah, I believe just subscribe to this, and whenever they have a meeting, like a webinar or an in-person event, you will be informed, and it will be good if you can, attend it. Any doubts so far? I see the Q&A section is empty, but a couple of hands were raised. Okay, I'll go to the next one. Um, okay, so um, I think this, yes, one of them has, yeah, so this is the link to the presentation. This has all the sublinks. So you can, this will always be available here. So in a webinar, you must ask questions that could, project your technical capabilities. For example, so suppose I'll show you a learning path where you learn one of each. Like if suppose today in terms of the salary structure, a person who knows one language is paid X amount. A person who knows two languages, for example, in the different domain. For example, if you know one language like C Sharp or .NET, you'll get an amount for, let's say, for example, 40,000 per month. Or maybe, let's say, since you're a beginner, 25,000 per month. But then if you have one UI skill attached to it, like React or Angular, you will be paid, suppose say you can add 7 8 more thousand to it, like maybe 30,000 per month. Then if you know the CI/CD part, like for example how to deploy Docker, Kubernetes, or something like Puppet or Ansible, then okay, that's 35,000. And then if you are a machine learning person, for suppose PyTorch or TensorFlow or Scikit-learn, either one of these streams, then you will be paid 45,000 per month in the beginners. And then if you're, of course, you're going abroad, it'll be much higher. But I feel you must take up at least at your level, take up at least one full stack skill, for example, either .NET or Java, and one web. Start with that. And then, if you are attending a React meeting, it's okay if you ask some Angular question. Okay, in Angular, I remember that, okay, that we can bring about multi-threading in this fashion. How is it? Can we do it in React? Like even if you don't know the particular topic, you can correlate it with some other topic and ask this question. I mean, like ask different types of questions that could actually show your technical prowess. And at times you can also answer the questions of other participants uh, that supports the speaker. Like for example, you can answer something like, as the speaker had mentioned in slide number 2, that this kind of concept is existing. So my experience, this concept has given me this type of result. So support the speaker and then answer some other participant's question. And then, at the end in the Q&A section, you can say that I saw one GitHub issue. Like just, I told you, you need to research before you go there. Talk about one open GitHub issue that, so, if you see here, um, there'll be a lot of, there's an issue page in GitHub. So you can, so, these are open issues. These are some closed issues. So you can see like, okay, what are the open issues, and just ask a question. When do you think it will be solved? So, he'll know that you have researched the topic well. And then talk about a competitive feature and even offer to help them to implement if they are a small company. And bigger companies like Microsoft and Azure, they're making everything open source. So most likely they will have the product, somewhere in the open source market. And if they are not having it, you can also question it, because you can tell them that you want to help contribute to it, something like that. And GitHub getting started tips. So uh, I know that a lot of people, when you think of the cloud, you just think of a machine in the cloud, but there are some things like AWS Lambda or Azure Function is something that will give you 2 minutes of computation for free. So today, when you make a mobile application, you need to make an API or a database somewhere which can listen to your calls. And for at least 10 to 15 years, you can use 2 minutes of computation free of cost by invoking this AWS Lambda or Azure functions. I'll show you what they are. You just have to type a piece of C Sharp or Python code. Like for example, if you've received a request, find out all cities that have a temperature greater than 40 degrees Celsius. Like this could be one of the API call to your Azure function. You will make a call to AccuWeather or weather.com, get this result and make it JSON and give a response back. Like this is the only thing. 2 minutes of computation is available for free in both the cloud providers. So research on AWS Lambda function, research on Azure function. I'll show you in the Azure portal how it looks like over here soon. Um, and then the database, if you take the SQL database, you have to pay a price like $7, $8 for the very basic minimum tier of SQL database that you buy. But AWS DynamoDB is free. Then if you want a very cheap blob or S3, like if you want to upload music or if you want to upload video, if you want to upload, some big chunks of file, like for example, you're doing translation for someone, or if you're doing things like optical character recognition using something, you need to store images. Then, it's not free, but it will like 1 GB is less than half a cent. It's much more cheaper than that actually. And use Azure DevOps and sometimes build your code. Like for example, in .NET, you need to compile the code, execute the code, and deploy the code. In web application, you need to run npm install. You need to go about doing making a distribution package and replacing of your secrets. So they are, as your DevOps, GitLab offer you free building, and for 1 rupee per build, you can pay to AWS Code Build if you are more of an AWS fanboy. Install Git and source tree. So source tree, if you install, you don't have to mug up the Git commands, but source tree gives you a visual UI to go about building it. And if you don't have a very high powered PC, you can use VS Code, which I see. I believe everyone, if you don't have one, then get a second hand one. If you don't have that, convert one of your 20,000, your 15,000 rupees tablets to a laptop by, connecting a keyboard or Bluetooth mouse to it, something like that. But make sure that, you can install Linux in it at minimum, at least Ubuntu, and have VS Code, even if it's a low powered laptop. And start, and some people will feel like, okay, Karan, you're talking about way too many things, it's all going over my head. So you can start by contributing to the documentation also. Like what is this, Karan? You can contribute to documentation. Yeah, so if you go to, suppose, Microsoft Cognitive, like all this, okay, all this is available on GitHub, and you can edit this and you can contribute to it. And whatever you edit, it will be available as a pull request to Microsoft will review your documentation. Like suppose today you're trying out one Azure feature and it did not work, but some 10-15 Stack Overflow articles help you to make it work. Then you go to that file, edit it, create a pull request, and it will be raised as a pull request to Microsoft. So you can also contribute to docs while you're trying out stuff. You need not contribute as code. And some people will have very easy issues just because they don't, like today I'm working for 9 to 10 hours per day, so I may not have all the time in the world to um, fix my open source project. So I just create issues, and I expect, students like you or other developers across the world can help me to solve that issue. Like one thing could be as simple as, having an export to PDF functionality. Now this, you can just import a library, WKPDF or mu PDF in Python, and then you can just make a call to that library. That's all. Like It's as simple as that. And when you solve an issue, you can then say, okay, I've contributed to this project, contributed to that project in your resume. You don't have to make a full-fledged project, but you can say contributed to the open source community, and that sounds powerful. And like what I did, the PPT, boring PPT, I made it on Git. So I'll just show you. This is the Git public repo. And I've got this animations with the help of some plugin called Reveal.js. So if you look at this index file, I am just pointing to one content file called Markdown. And I'm saying that if it's 3 lines, if I'm giving a gap of 3 lines, put it in the next slide. If I'm giving a gap of 2 lines, then put it in the vertical slide. And if you see, this is the README MD file, and this is the entire presentation. I've just written one flowing text, and it converted this into something like this. It has vertical scrolling, sideways scrolling. This is with the help of Reveal.js. So you can take a look at this GitHub. I've put it in the Q&A section over here. Okay, I will get back to the questions soon. When I have 15 more minutes present. So I'll present for 5 more minutes, and then I will get back to your Q&A. So tips to be noticed in in-person event: have a business card. Okay, I told you, make sure that, okay, on the front you have your basic things like BE, BMSIT, your name, your address in less than a line, your phone number. And then in the bottom of the card, put the logos of, put the logos of some projects you have made. And in the back of the card, just have like a mashup of all the programming languages you're aware of. And make sure you have the project portfolio link in the business card. And then research and study the product. I've told you, look at the LinkedIn profile of the speaker. Yes, I've already highlighted that. And I told you, call to collaboration. How do you collaborate? And then how to be close to and try to be closer to the speaker. So if, sometimes the speaker will say because of, and then he's searching for the right English word, you can complete it. Because of scalability, performance, like just tell out one or two random things to, and then, it'll be good that you appear to be participative. You won't sleep and during the meeting, and that will increase your heartbeat a little bit. So and when he looks at audience for answers, like some speakers are very engaging. They will they will ask you some scenario. Have you ever had a scenario where developers have no idea what you're up to, and then you can give them with an answer when you're closer to the speaker, like at least 4 meters, second bench, third bench, something like that. Now, what if you don't have ideas for projects? Take up projects on freelancing. They will pay you also. So there is Fiverr. There is, wait, I have this freelancing kit. Where is it? Yeah, these Fiverr, Upwork, TopTal, and then you don't need to do it by yourself. You can take the help of 3-4 students, and you'll be paid $5 per hour, $10 per hour. And if you want to go to even a more simpler job like just image tagging and voice tagging, things like that, you can go to Amazon Mechanical Turk. I've not mentioned that here, but you can get paid for the things that you're doing. And for some, like I wanted to give this PPT to be done by some intern. I would have paid someone $5 to do it. Then there are people like that. And some people just want to they just want to convert like the entire blog to a book on Kindle. So that is also something that I recommend you to do. Like if you made a lot of blog articles, you can publish as a Kindle and earn from it. And then solve GitHub issues, convert some. Now, there is another world which you may not be aware of called the design world. They just make designs of UI. You can, take their help to realize the design. So I'll just show you, there are some projects on Dribble, or you can go to Dribble and take a look, just search for medical user interface or they just make designs. They don't make the actual UI. So you can realize it. and you can make it. You can convert some DeviantArt or Dribble projects to real life, like, React, Angular, and take inspiration from your families, peers, and, use some use cases around you, and make sense of data sets. So today, there's a lot of data thrown, like your smartphone is pumping location information, and you have a lot of data. People are collecting temperatures of you when you're entering a mall. Like, you'll get like millions of entries. So there are a lot of people like Kaggle. Google also has a Google data set. You can search for data sets and make a pretty graph out of it, show trends, and show that, okay, people in the income range this to this and age this to this, working in this company, choose Audi. People in age range this to this. So you can make these graphs, and you can make sense of data sets. This is something, if you don't have an idea. And then I have released a podcast on how can you help during the pandemic. Stack Overflow. Yes, I think you need to have a profile here. See, I've answered few questions just so that I can be here, and then just answer a few questions, upvote a few answers, fix someone else's answer. If someone's answer is not working, and if you made it work through some other article, help them out. Like, just and if you're stuck in a project, ask a question here and someone will answer it. And of course, make sure that you Google it, because if you put in question which is very obvious, people will downvote you. Okay, so just be careful. And as I told you that, okay, I have made my profile extremely technical, my Twitter account. I don't indulge in, and this one, uh, I released a podcast from that Ernst and Young thing, and they offered me a job like after I, blogged about them. So, and then this is the radio show that I'm running. So let me go back to the presentation. And YouTube tips. So try your best to, have all your projects on YouTube. Like, whenever you record your screen, then, you make sure that you put your projects on YouTube so that you're discoverable. And over here, this is the place where you make your project portfolio. So you can put, okay, this is portfolio tracker, Android application, native Windows application, automated plumbing system, things like that. I have listed all my projects here, and each project is a collection of videos, images, and a brief description. And then you can list this in LinkedIn over here. Like from Behance, you can import it and put the links over here in your LinkedIn profile. Okay. So Behance is one place where you make your project portfolio. This is extremely important, so that anyone who wants, along with their resume, make sure you give them a link of whatever you're doing. And I haven't updated it a lot because I have a lot of GitHub projects which I haven't put here. But yeah, I give them a GitHub link directly, and inside each of them I explain what have I done. Let me go back. And yeah, you can use, so in all my podcast, I use something called as free video transcript. I can use Google Docs. They have something called as convert voice to text. And if you don't have the patience to type, then use it like how I do. And make sure that you use things like GIMP, Inkscape. Don't use Paint. It does not look very professional. And even your Reveal.js presentations, like what I have done, you can make a boring presentation on GitHub, and there you have a presence on GitHub. Blogs, yeah, as I had mentioned, just whatever you do, your homework, if you have done something, uh, something to solve your practicals, your blog about a thing you learned, blog about a seminar you went to, and the collection of the blog articles could be marketed as books. You can either use WordPress to have your blog for free, or you can use a web app in Azure. So in Azure, this is how Azure looks like, and you can create a new service. And here you can create a new web app. I'll just show, creating web app takes 3 or 4 minutes. So I'll directly go to this. This is the presentation. And what I have done is every time I have made a GitHub hook. So every time I make a writing to GitHub, every time I write some new content, it will automatically get GitHub commit ID and automatically deploy it for you. And this is free, running free of charge. It's called a web app. Make sure you're choosing F1 free, okay? Don't select D1 or F1 or P1. You'll get a very big bill. Make sure you select F1 free and you'll get a HTTPS URL. This is available for free. This is there, and there is something called as Azure Functions. So this is where you can write pieces of code. You need not manage the infrastructure also. You just put the pieces of code and it'll be fine. So if you go to maybe function apps, and you can create like I've made this function, and this is nothing but a collection of code snippets, and you can tell them how you want to invoke it by either a time or by a REST API, something like that. Okay, Q&A time. Someone said share links. I've shared. One of them is how to get motivated towards study during these days. Okay, I think try out different modes of studies. For example, I'm Karan and I studied my Kundli, and I am known as Khan se. Like in Hindi, Karn is called Khan, ear. So I am, listening suits me better. Reading does not suit me at all. So I realized this, that, okay, I'm able to uh, go through video much more better than by reading a book. So I'm that type of learner. Some people are learning by just by books. Some people are learning only through images. Like if an image can fascinate you, then people are only like they're skipping the text in the book. They're just learning through the images. And so find out what is your learning style. Actually some people are more sensitive in the nostril. So if you can associate a smell, I think it's very difficult to emulate. And if you want, you can try out VR also. But one more thing is, what I have done is, not everything had sound. So I use something called as cognitive services, this one, to convert the text to sound. So this one is the cognitive services. So this one, you can upload an audio and it will give you text, or you can upload text and it'll give you audio. So you can use cognitive services to convert your boring textbooks to audio, and then maybe you can digest it much more better. And one more thing is, mostly some of them are motivated through financial emergencies. Maybe make a girl your dream, that okay, some father has said that okay, only if you have this much revenue and a car and a house, then you will get that girl. Like I have seen people getting motivated like this for winning a specific thing. Like make a goal, maybe a car. You may be liking BMW. How do I get it? Like try to work your equation on how do I get that first $500,000 or something like that. And or maybe at times even a good lecturer can also make a difference. So for example, if you feel that some topic is extremely boring, maybe a YouTube way of explaining it. Some people like humor a lot while learning. So I feel if you can search for those people who are humorous explainers on YouTube, and that can keep you engaged. And uh, okay, then how do I put that I'm adaptable? What on my profile could portray that I'm adaptable to anything in the organization? I think if you you have done one web project, one backend project, one project that has some presentation with a lot of graphs, one maybe one one speech. Like I on YouTube, I've also put up my my comic speeches also. Like, okay, when once an airline just sent me to 4 different countries accidentally, I made it like a comic speech and put it on YouTube. So make sure that you project how uh, adaptable you are by showing that, okay, you've done this and this on on your public presentation. And also your projects must also show that, okay, that today if I go to my project, I can also do hardware, I can also do Windows app, an Android app, an iOS app, Windows 8 app, web app. So if you see, I've just put one of each just to show the versatility. So that is something that can portray that you're doing you're being adaptable. And one more thing, this Android app, I did not write a single line of code. If you've heard of MIT App Inventor, I just dragged and dropped some UI and I got this ready. So you need not know how to write code to actually, finish a project. If people who don't write code and finish a project, they are much more intelligent than people who actually write the code. So yeah, I mean, if something has already been done, do not reinvent it. Only invent those things that have been implemented. I think it's a very long-winded answer to how adaptable I am. Okay. Uh, so I'm just telling you that don't be scared that, okay, that you have to write code. You need not write code at all. And one more thing is, now talk about ideas and resources. Um, okay, ideas and resources should be documented. Today, if suppose someone has told me, okay, this is dev.azure.com, it's called Azure DevOps over here. So this is a more complicated interface. So I first define top level epics. So that, okay, how do I divide the project into, I divide the idea into these top level things. And then each epic is a collection of features. For example, initial technical setup. Let's go to something more simpler. Device management. Okay. Device management has this feature, this feature, this feature, this feature, this feature. Then each feature could be grouped into stories. This is user stories once, and then you can add, information inside it that, okay, these are some examples. So do not, start the project right away. Document it. Start with, okay, this UI user story is a collection of tasks. So if you see on a broad level, I have epics. Epics are a collections of features. Features are a collection of user stories. User stories are a collection of tasks. And then as and when you do things, move it, that is, it's in to-do state. Move it to active. I have started working on this. Move it to resolve once you've finished it. Okay, this is a more complicated one. I think you can start out with something more simpler like Trello. Um, so for example, I'll show you one typical board in Trello. Um, so over here, this is, okay, this is a very complex board. I'll show you a simpler one. Yeah, so over here you can have tiles like to do, in progress, low priority, high priority, and you can, just add a new cards over here like, okay, email stability, and then you can add an image, drag and drop an image to it. So in one board, you can organize your project. So you will not get intimidated because you will plan for it. Most people don't plan and they get into the implementation directly. So I feel plan ahead, use a board, a free board like Trello. You can also have it privately if you're doing a project for someone else. And you can also, if you're going for a very detailed plan, then I think Azure DevOps is extremely good. I try my best to use a lot of free tools. Um, so this is, any doubts, any further doubts on this? And yeah, in YouTube, sorry, in GitHub, you can create a new thing like, okay, my goals. Like what you can do is you can make your goals as public and write my goals. And then you can, create a goal as an issue. And GitHub also has this task tracking thing. You can now create an issue and I say my first goal is learn PyTorch. Okay. So I will then, say, okay, I want to take a look. Okay, I like this article on the internet. Just take a screenshots, copy paste it. And you know what? This is like I use this like a free image hosting also. If I don't have to pay for Google Drive or anything, this GitHub is providing it for free. And you can take a look at the preview, and then, um, you can say heading one as getting started, and have some links, have some bullet points, have an image, and you can create an issue, submit new issue, and get started. Have all your goals over here as public, and you can ask a friend to contribute to one of your goal also, and then each of your goal can be on GitHub, and you can close issues, open issues. You can put labels on the issue that, okay, this is personal issue, this is technical issue, something like that. And when you put it on public, then you have to be answerable to the entire world. Okay, next one. Any more questions, or should we end this presentation? Can people go on audio if you, is there a provision for people to come on audio and then ask questions if needed? Um, Robiny, is this feature there?
I don't think so. They can unmute their mics, but they
Okay.
can put.
Okay. So
If they
is there any
raise
more?
hand, I guess we can allow them to speak.
Okay. So I think a couple of people had raised their hand in between the presentation.
Yeah, if they are comfortable, they can put up their questions in the chat box, or else like if we can allow them unmute them, we can do that.
Okay. Is there anyone who wants to talk? You can put their name in Q&A. I'll unmute you and ask a question if you were not able to put in the Q&A. Or if you want, you're okay with it, we could end the meeting.
We'll wait for a few minutes, else we'll end the session. Okay.
Can someone from an electrical background get started with software
Okay, there's a
projects?
question come up. Like,
Okay. So electrical engineers are needed. For example, if you want, you can join me for remote monitoring. For example, I'll tell you what this project is about. We need to connect pulse oximeter, weigh machines, and the insulin measuring devices. Let's call this like IoT, where you have to interface with the physical world onto a platform like this. So I recommend you to study something called as Azure IoT Hub. There is also AWS also has their equivalent IoT, and this is where your electrical projects can talk to the software world using IoT Hub. Because in IoT Hub, you need to create senders, receivers. You need to use a protocol called as MQTT so that your electrical devices can communicate with your computer. So it's very important right now for an electrical engineer to go into this, because today, if you see, most people in the WhatsApp groups are complaining about electricity bill, electricity being stolen, their water meter being tampered, and there's a lot of crime happening of stealing electricity, stealing water. And you can put piezoelectric crystals to find out if someone has crossed a specific fence, to go to an area like a transformer and give an alert on using you can write push notification using Amazon SNS or AWS Pinpoint. And IoT Hub is one place where your electrical systems can talk to your your AWS Lambda or your Azure functions, your free computing resources. And they all have an entire ecosystem like device registration, device connectivity. Today, for example, if someone wants to measure how many cars are going over the hump at any point of time, you put those sensors, like, you know, those infrared sensors, and if the sensor is somewhere disturbed, okay, you're counting the car is going. And today you have, you know, physical cards issue, entry systems. People are having smart bulbs, you know, the Bluetooth enabled bulbs. Buy those Bluetooth enabled bulb, try to interface it with your smartphone and see if you can control it. There is Bluetooth enabled fan, there is Alexa, which is, you know, these physical systems. So actually, uh, today your Android app store and your Play Store is saturated. Millions of apps are there. How do you stand out? You need to somewhere have a physical connect. Like for example, Bounce. They have IoT to unlock the bike and you can take it for wherever you want. Yulu, you know, you are measuring how many kilometers you have driven, and according to that, I'm charging 5 rupees per kilometer. And cycle management, you know, dropping off electrical scooters, crowd management. So there are so many avenues for electrical engineers to be involved. I feel every profession must have software engineering within it, be it accounting, electricals, um, sports. That software will give you that edge to go to the next level. Any more questions? See, recently Tapsi Pannu also complained of 18,000 rupees electrical bill. There are so many, there's so much, you know, um, corruption in the world. So you feel there are a lot of technologies, and sometimes we feel this may be better than the other. How do we actually know what learning is taking us to a goal we need? So I feel, start somewhere. Like for example, JavaScript. Okay, just imagine, take a look at JavaScript. In JavaScript, you can write web pages. Using JavaScript, you can write Node.js backend. Using JavaScript, you can write React Native mobile applications. And using JavaScript, you can deploy, write IoT code. Take up one language, just take up JavaScript, then evolve on top of that. Take up TypeScript, evolve on top of that, write Node.js backend, evolve on top of that, write a React, pick up either one, React or Angular. Take just one language and beat it to the core. If you're doing C Sharp, okay, C Sharp also has a way to write WPF UI. C Sharp has a way to write a web API backend. If you're writing Python, you can use Flask to write your backend, and then Django for the UI. So if you take up just one language, I feel JavaScript is a safe bet. Today, every device is coming with a web browser at minimum. And if suppose someone launches something that is like a native application, you can still write JavaScript and make a native app. So I feel like, Divya, in your case, just take up JavaScript and just go evolve on top of it. Make a learning path. Like there is something called as Plural Site, where I have been using that personally to learn, and they make learning paths for it. For example, pluralsite.com. So I have a paid subscription. For those of you who don't have paid subscription, you can tell me what is a learning path for a specific language, and I'll tell you what are the various things that you should learn. So for example, today there is, you can go to something called as path, um, Docker. So for example, so there are courses over here. See, these are results for courses. Then there is something called as learning path. Wait, if I can see it. Yeah, these are learning paths. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah, these are paths. So if you click here, there are learning paths. It will tell you what is in the beginner level, what is in the advanced level. Like for example, you take a Python path, take this up, and it will tell you, okay, how do you start from a novice, proficient, expert? So over here, you can start with the beginner's level. These two are beginner videos. Then is intermediate level, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos. Then is advanced level. So when you complete this path, you are called a Python expert. So then it will show you how do you measure what's your pipe. So you can take up different paths. Like there is a JavaScript path also, and I can give you a list of curated courses for that if you don't have an account in this. But I think you can create a free account and just look at the paths. If not consume the video material, you can look at the paths and then search for it equivalently on YouTube. Did I answer that
Not the
question?
answer.
Okay, so how long is the presentation and is it over, or you feel we should give some more time for the Q&A?
If anyone asks, like we can take it up, or else we can end the session now. Like I guess we can end it up. Yeah. If yeah, any more questions, guys? Like, or else we'll end the session. Mm, yeah. Mr. Karan, I think like you can produce your contact email ID or phone numbers or something like that, just to like to the audience if they want to contact you personally.
Okay, Harsha, you want to be unmuted?
Divya asks like which may be the best social platform to start with.
I think Twitter is a decent start where everything is written in short, and of course you must have a profile on LinkedIn. So Twitter and LinkedIn are good ones to advertise yourself. LinkedIn, of course, is super important. Facebook, yes, you can keep it for your personal things, and yeah, make sure that in Facebook, so there is a link. If you go to the authentication tab in your settings, you can link your Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook together. As soon as you write a tweet on Twitter, it will automatically reflect in your LinkedIn and automatically reflect in Facebook. They achieve this by using a technique called as open ID authentication. So if you authorize if you go to Facebook settings and go to, you know, um, uh, even in Twitter settings, you can, I think there is a YouTube video to explain how to do this, but you can have a very connected ecosystem. You write one tweet and it will reflect on all platforms. That is one example. And the other one is there is something called as Hootsuite, where you can type once and you can choose, I want to post this in 6 different platforms. Check, 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 check. It's called Hootsuite, something like that. I used it 2 years ago when I was migrating to India from Australia, so that I get placed in India. So I used that to write once but be visible in many places. Harsha, I've unmuted you if you want to ask any question. Okay.
Okay, if like there's no more question, we can end the session. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Karan Bandari. Karan Bandari, like for amazing session, like how to start with and like how to start with the social things. I hope audience would have gained a lot of knowledge about it, like how to get started with the online platforms and grow their network and many more things. Thank you so much. Yeah, I, on behalf of BMS IT Alumni Association and WOW, thank you so much. And I also thank each and every participants for their active participation in this session and make it a success. Thank you all.